Hello and welcome to Mama Juice. Today we have Sarah, and Sarah is a coach and she gives children the tools to understand, regulate, and channel their emotions, which is a topic that I particularly need help with because I have 5, 3, and 3-year-olds. So I'm very excited.
Wow.
Yes, very fun interview. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and then we'll just jump right into it.
Of course. So I am not from America. I'm from England. I am a teacher by trade. Let's take one of these out. I'm a teacher. I qualified as a teacher back in 2007, so 14 years ago now. And in that time, I've spent a lot of time working with children of all ages. But then as well, I've spent a lot of time focusing on those children who are really struggling. And that's actually where I've pushed my career. And actually, I've been sitting on a dream for a long time now to start my own business, to really reach out and support these kids. Because as a teacher, obviously time's limited, you can only do so much. And back in November, which is only, 4 months ago, I'm like, right, let's do it. So it's all very new. I'm not teaching anymore and I'm stepping out into it. So we'll see where it goes.
Very fun. That's great. That's awesome. I think a lot of us kind of took that leap over the last few months to kind of launch
Mm,
our dreams and make them come true. So that's very cool. I'm excited for you.
thank
And
you.
so, yeah, of course. And so this all came from just working with kids and seeing the need, right?
Yeah, I remember actually when I was a child, we moved house when I was 12 and we moved to quite a rough area, neighborhood. And I remember the person who lived next door to me, she was a mum. She didn't look much older than me. I was 12, so she was a very, very young mum. I remember her standing at her door and just yelling at her kids and just getting her kids like in to come in for dinner. And it was really hard for the kids. And I could tell she was really, really struggling. And I remember from that point thinking, I want to make a difference with children. I want to make a difference, showing them that they can live differently, showing parents that they can parent differently. And I found actually that just being a class teacher, although I had a great um, network of being able to support children, I wanted to do more, which is why I have stepped out.
Well, have you actually started working with families just yet, or are you still in the beginning process?
Yes, so I am at the moment. I'm working with a teenage girl, and I'm working with four other pupils of primary school age. Do you have primary schools in America? Kind of age 11 and under. Is that how it works?
So here, what we do is kids go to what's called preschool, and that's usually around like age 4. And then 5 through 12, they go through elementary school, which is kindergarten through 6th grade. And then they have middle school, or it could be called junior high school. And that is 7 and 8, depending on where you are, sometimes 9th grade. And then high school, which will
Okay.
last sometimes 4 years before you graduate.
Okay, cool. So it's under middle school. So that's kind of the area that I'm focusing on. And so that's working really well actually. And I'm having a mix of working with children, coaching them on their mental health and also working with children, supporting them in their education, but at the same time building resilience and emotional intelligence and things like that. And actually it's going so well. And it's almost like, why didn't I do it, 10 years ago? Why is it taking me this long to start it? Yeah, I'm loving it. Just being able to give kids the time to explore how they feel and why they respond in certain ways. It's amazing. I'm loving it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I have 3-year-old twins, and their go-to communication is literally to scream. And I'm like,
Yeah,
why do you do this? And I get what you're saying about that mom because they bring me to that level. Like,
yeah,
I try to stay calm And eventually I'm like, stop screaming and sit down. Don't be
Yeah.
irritated. But, you know, I thought as their speech progressed, things would get better. So I guess
Mm.
what is the common problem you see? Like what is triggering kids to react in that way?
I think talking about toddlers, like younger children particularly, a lot of it is, if you look at the neuroscience, and I'm not a neuroscientist at all, but when you look at that, you notice that a lot of connections in the brain have not been made. And so children are not able to communicate in a logical way like we can. And so, for example, if I'm really hungry right now, I will go into the kitchen, I will make something, and I know that I'm feeling ratty because I'm hungry. Kids can't make those connections in their head. And so for them, they know there's a problem and they can't physically do anything about it. They don't know how to do that. And so I think that a big thing is just, I know it's really hard and I know it's a lot of patience and just a lot of taking a step back, but it's very much, oh, are you hungry? Are you hungry? Do you want a snack? Should we go and get some fresh air? And what is really tough is actually, kids sometimes can't create their own calm, especially like little kids. And so as parents, it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, we need to share our calm. You can't create your own calm. We need to share our calm. And I find with children, like little tactics, especially with younger children, like touch will really help. And also, if you hold their hands and you just touch your thumbs in that part of their hand, just quite firmly but gently, that can release a sense of peace on them. I don't know exactly how it works, but just that doing that to their hands could really help support them. But when it comes to older children, I think, again, still connections may not have been made, but it is all about just trying to recognize their emotions. Oh, I can see you're feeling a bit angry. Oh, I can see you're feeling a bit stressed. Do you think it's because we need to go out for a walk? We've been inside all day, or mummy's feeling a little bit stressed actually right now. I feel that I need to do something for me. Do you want to do it with me? Just trying to turn the tables a little bit can sometimes help.
Okay, so that makes sense, and I'm curious because we are in different countries. I feel like, especially here in the United States, mothers and even doctors want to rush to give a diagnosis of some
Yes.
kind when children do act like that. And I'm curious if that's a problem that you see as well.
Totally. I remember once going, when I was teaching reception, so kindergarten. I think you're in America, and there was a child who was really struggling, and they went to a paediatrician, and he was diagnosed with ADHD. And the paediatrician was brilliant. I was there with him for the diagnosis, and the paediatrician said to the mum, okay, what we can do two things. We can put him on medication straight away, or what we can do is we can change diet. We can get rid of everything processed. We can drink lots of water. We can go back to, he described it as a caveman diet. So literally just, meat, vegetables, something that you would grow, not anything rubbish, no E numbers, anything like that, and see if that makes a difference. And she said, oh, his diet is pretty good, I don't really need to change anything. And they chose not to, and they put him on medication. But yeah, I mean, she picked him up with biscuits every day. And so I know that, diets could have been better. But I do think diet has a massive, massive impact on kids. I know even like for me, if I'm feeling rubbish, if I'm, not well, it was my time of the month, and I just want to eat junk food. I like gorge on crisps and chocolate and chips and, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't make me feel good. That makes me feel worse. And so I really believe that a really good, nutritious, healthy diet does have a massive impact on children, on their ability to concentrate at school, on their ability to be able to control their emotions and deal with their emotions in a really good way. And so that's something as a mum I try. It's not, it's not easy. My children made cupcakes yesterday and they took one for their school lunch today. But, they had a healthy sandwich along with it and chopped up veg. And, it's all about moderation, isn't it? But I do think diet plays a massive, massive impact on lots of emotional issues with children, definitely. But not all of them.
Right.
Just
And here in the United States. What's
I said
that?
not all of them. Just to add that disclaimer. Sometimes diet.
Oh, right. No, absolutely. Yeah. So I totally agree. Obviously, that's not the case for every child, but I think, and here in the United States, we're just known for our bad diet.
So the UK.
And my daughter. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So my daughter was diagnosed with ADHD. I don't even think a year ago, maybe. And they asked me if I wanted to medicate her, and I was like, no, her little brain is still developing. Like, down the road, if it causes problems in her life, then I'll look at it. But right now, it's just like you said, we're working on some lifestyle changes and just seeing what we can make happen with that. But everyone's so quick to have a pill for everything, right?
Totally. And I think for teachers as well, teachers have got the responsibility to make sure learning is accessible. And that's really important. And a lot of teachers, I think, find it very easy just to stand up and communicate up front, but actually to think outside the box, to think, okay, how can I make this, for my kinesthetic learners, how can I help the children with ADHD or autism in my class have brain breaks? How can I facilitate that so they can get up and they can move around without being told off? So I think teachers are waking up to changing their teaching style because of the diversity of learners in the classroom.
That's good. Yeah, that's definitely good. So when you're working with these families, are you working more with the child or are you working more with the parent, or is it kind of an equal partnership?
So at the moment, what I'm doing is working with the child, but then I'm communicating with the adult, and then they can then follow through with the child. So for example, last week we looked at with one particular child that I'm coaching, we looked at an anger iceberg. So if you imagine an iceberg, there's only a small part at the top that is visible, and sometimes that can be anger. I could look angry to you. You could think, oh man, there's something wrong. She's cross, she's really angry. But actually, what's going on underneath the iceberg could be a whole range of stuff. I could be lonely. I could feel neglected. I could feel rejected. I could feel in pain. I could feel so much other emotions. And so with this particular child, what I'm trying to do is get him to be aware of his emotions and ask himself the question, okay, I'm feeling angry, I want to punch someone. Is that anger, or actually is it something else, something deeper? And then through having a conversation with this child, I'm then talking to his parents and saying, this is what I'm working through with him. And so then they can follow that on during the week. One dream I've got, there's 3 strands to my business. The first one is to tutor children, to help them if they're struggling in school, and give them confidence and resilience and self-esteem, up all of that to help them. The second thing is to support them in coaching, and so to enable their mental health to get better, to help them with the stuff that they're struggling with. And then the third area is to work with the whole family. So I would love to create sessions and webinars and resources to help the whole family. But that's the bit that I haven't got to yet. So I'm starting with just the children, but actually my dream, and probably more so, my dream is to work with the whole family, because I could work one-on-one with a child, but sometimes it needs to be a family thing to make a proper difference. So for example, if I was really struggling with my mental health, if I was really struggling with my feeling of self-worth, for instance, I might act a certain way and teach my child to act a certain way without me realizing it. And so to have somebody input into that to show me changes I need to make that's actually going to help my child as well is so important. I think it's so key. And one thing that I'm massively passionate about is seeing children and seeing families know that they can make a difference, that there is hope. They don't have to live feeling the way that they're feeling. They don't have to live feeling, oh, that's just me. That's the way I do it. That's just my son. He's just moody. He's just got anger issues. I want to see them think, no, I can change this. And that is what I'm really passionate about.
Cool. So let me ask you, obviously, like, I know it's a lot more in depth and that's what you work with kids on, but what are some quick little tips you can give to us to help us understand how to give our children that confidence? Because sometimes even in the preschool age my daughter is in, I mean, I already see that social anxiety and that want to belong and the lack of confidence. These little girls do this game where they act like they're gonna play with her, then they run away and she's crying in a corner. So how can we instill some of that confidence in our children?
No, that's really good. I think a really good question. I think what we need to do is we need to start talking about our emotions, and we need to start being real as a world, start being real about our emotions. For example, it's teaching children to know that there are going to be good days, there are going to be bad days. If you imagine a graph, life isn't like that. There's natural, peaks and flows, and that is completely normal. And, for children to understand that, I think is really, really important. And also to know that it's okay, if they're feeling upset because their friends have run off, that is not okay. And so it almost validates their emotion, So if that was my child, I would say, I can see you're so upset right now because of what your friend has done to you. Let's think about this, if this happens tomorrow, what can we do? And so it's almost like saying, okay, you're amazing. You've been created amazingly with all these incredible emotions. And so feeling sad is normal for that, obviously age related. But, looking forward, what can we do if this happens again? So it's giving her confidence for it to be in her control. And so you might have a conversation with her. She might think, okay, at the end of tomorrow, if this happens again, I can tell a teacher, or I can go and play with my friend Heidi, who I don't normally play with, but there's an option. Or I can go into school and cuddle the cuddle bear, if there's a cuddle bear that you cuddle when you're sad. Just giving them, having a conversation with them and drawing up almost a plan B, so they know that if it happens, it's okay that they can feel sad, but if that happens, then they've got these choices. I think giving children the option to know what to do is really, really important. Quite often it's so easy to say, oh, it'll be all right tomorrow, it'll be fine, they'll play with you tomorrow, it'll all be forgotten. And, you can say that, but actually we don't really know that's true. And so being real is so important.
Right. I'm curious. I told her, I said, if these girls are consistently being mean to you, they don't sound like they're being very good friends. So what you do next time they do that is you just go, whatever, and you turn around, you walk away, and you go find something other to do.
Yeah, that could work. I think, yeah. But I think it is. It's that point. It's that control, isn't it? So you've just given your child the ability to make that decision for herself. You know, you've given her the power to say, okay, I'm going to go and play with some other children. You know, you're not that important that I have to sit around all playtime being sad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I want her. That's the thing I'm trying to get her to understand is like, these two girls are not worth getting upset about for the whole day when you have all these other friends that you can play with, especially because like, you know, even though I've not met all the girls, I get to know their names, and there's certain ones who seem like they don't do stuff like that. So I'm like, why don't you go play with so-and-so? How about so-and-so? And I even started inviting those girls to our house for play dates, because I'm like, let's get you friends with these girls so that when those ones want to run away, you can just be like, whatever, here's my girlfriend.
Yeah. I think as well, one thing that helps me is as an adult, you can prioritize problems, can't you? And you can think, okay, I can't afford to pay the mortgage. That is an awful problem. That is like way up there. Or someone's just died. That is way up there. Or someone's just blanked me. You know, depending on where your resilience lies, that might be right up there, or it might actually be right down there. But for kids, what we hold dear might not be what they hold dear. And so it's kind of thing, okay, for them, we might think the problem is right down here, to go and play with someone else. But for them, you know, it's massive. It's like you can't pay the mortgage type level. So yeah, looking at stuff through the eyes of your children is really important.
I only laugh because I think, like, I'm like thinking about stories as you're talking of my kids, and like, they're like my mom's my neighbor, so she's very involved, and she'll walk in and she'll be like, do you hear Luke screaming? What's wrong? And I'm like, I promise you, it's nothing. It could be like he dropped a piece of paper. And so she goes running in there thinking she's going to find like an emergency. And it's literally like, you know?
Totally.
So I was just laughing because it's true. Like, some of these things that, you know, as adults, we can say that that's a small problem with a really quick and easy solution. Bend over and pick it up. But kids, like, that can just destroy their day. Like, the smallest little itty bitty thing to them is like the end of the world.
Oh, I remember when my son...
So that makes total sense.
I remember when my son was about 2, we had the biggest meltdown of all meltdowns because all of his red pants were in the wash. And blue didn't cut it, green didn't cut it, yellow didn't cut it. He needed red pants, but there weren't any.
Yeah. And before that day, were red pants like special to him, or it was just that day?
Oh no, he just loved the colour red, and so he just wanted red pants every day of the week. And I wasn't that good at washing. I think with all of this,
I care about it too. One of my sons is attached to them. And my other 2, like, they're like, whatever, they have their favorite colors, but like, he's like your son with the red pants. Like, yellow is life. And if anybody else takes the yellow anything, it's his. Like, if it's yellow, if it's made yellow, it's his. So if a stranger takes it, it's like, that's mine, it's yellow.
That's amazing. I love it. I love kids like that. But I think one thing that, you know, we need to remember as parents is that, you know, we're not going to get it right all the time. And that is okay. You know, when we have children, no one gives us a booklet with every scenario played out. You know, it just doesn't happen. And so, you know, we're making stuff up as we go along, and it's okay to make a mistake. Just to give you an example, at the weekend, my daughter, I can't remember what she asked me now. Oh, my daughter asked me if she could have a school dinner rather than take a packed lunch in to school. And I said, no, we can't, not today, because we have to pay for it. I said, we've just moved house, like literally 3 weeks ago. I said, we're not having a school dinner. And then she went off, and then I was like, oh, okay, I need to think about me. Did I respond in a loving way rather than saying, no school dinners today? Or did I actually think, oh, where are you coming from with this? Is this because your friends have school dinners? Is this because, you really like what's on the menu? What is going on for you? It's a really simple example, but it's a very recent one. And so I went over to my daughter who was in her room and said, look, I'm so sorry. I shut you down quickly when you asked for a school dinner. Talk to me about it. Why? Why did you want one? And we were able to have a conversation about it and get to an answer, which was really great. But it's as parents, it's one thing that I try to do is when I make a mistake, and I make tons of mistakes, loads of mistakes, but to have the courage to apologize to your children and say, look, I handled that wrong, I'm sorry. That is really important, because then your children learn from you. And my kids are really, really, really good at saying they're sorry to us, to each other, and to their friends. And I think that's because us as parents say we're sorry to each other, but also to them as well. So they're learning from that. And again, that shows actually that we have bad days. We're grumpy sometimes. We have stuff going on, and it's showing them how we deal with that situation. And it's them learning from us.
I feel like I have to know, why did she want the?
Because it was fish and chips with a chocolate cupcake for pudding. And so that's why. So she just really wanted one, because she likes, because the chips and the fish and chips I cook at home are not the same as what she has at school. So that's why.
I get it.
And so actually what we did, the compromise we made, is she said, I'd really like a school dinner. She goes, I'm happy to pay for it. I want to pay for it. Because obviously we've just moved house. There's a ton of stuff we've had to pay out for. But then I said to her, how about, it was like £2. I'm like, how about you pay £1 and I pay £1? Would that be fair? And she's like, oh yeah, that would be really fair. We'll do that. And so that's what we did on that one occasion. And then that's showing her a little bit, I mean, she's 10, but that's showing her a little bit of, that she's got responsibility over her money and how she wants to spend it as well.
Very cool. So a question that came a bit ago was, how much do you feel cell phones and, moms being on social media and all that influence our kids, how they're reacting? Because I know sometimes, I'm trying really hard with my passion project over here, my podcast, but I do work full time. So sometimes I'm doing stuff for my podcast on my phone, and my daughter will say, Mom, please get off the phone. Please get off the phone. And I just feel so bad. I'm like, let me just post this thing for Mama Juice. But I'm just curious how you think that's affecting our children.
Wow. There's so much I can say about this. I remember probably when my son was 3, 4, it was before he started school. I was sitting in the lounge and I was playing with him, and my phone was in the kitchen and it beeped a couple of times. And he said to me, he put down the game and he said, Mummy, your phone's gone. And so it was like, oh, you're expecting me to leave the game and go and answer my phone. And that for me was like a reality check. And I'm like, no, I need to show you that you're more important than my phone. And so what I did from that point is I took all notifications off of my phone, WhatsApp, messages, emails, everything went off, except for phone calls. And I then got to a point where I'm like, okay, I want to choose to look at my phone. I don't want to be interrupted by stuff. And that doesn't work for everybody, but for me, that was really important, just because when I was with my children, I wanted to show them that I was invested in them, and not constantly going back to my phone. But with social media, is up until November, if you look at my Instagram account, up until November time, I hadn't posted anything at all, because I like Facebook, but I found it was so overwhelming, just the addiction of wanting to scroll all the time. And so before like November time, I hadn't posted anything in months and months and months. And so what I'm having to learn is to be active on social media. You know, I'm having to learn to post stuff. So I'm doing it the opposite way around, really. But even then, you know, it's really hard. But my problem now is I feel like I've got to ask permission of my children, and which I do. Like, oh, this is a great picture. Can I post this? Or this situation we had. Could I write about it? Would that be okay? Because I don't want them, especially with my daughter now who's 10, you know, and she's entering into that world. You know, I don't want her friends to see stuff and for her to get embarrassed, or her friend's mum sees stuff and then shows her friend. So it's been very intentional, but then recognizing as well that we have to work. And if social media is something that we have to do, then that's okay. But maybe one thing I try to do is I block my time out. So I try to look at it only for half an hour here, an hour here. Oh, I'll quickly take that photo and upload it later, that kind of stuff. But it's really hard.
It is. It's hard. And I'm like, oh, but I want to post it now. But that's a good idea to turn off your notifications. That way you don't feel called to do it. Like, oh, what if I miss something? Because I think that's what we're all chasing. Is we're all afraid of missing something, missing our moment, or missing, just anything. So, well, I really enjoyed this discussion. I'm really excited for what you're doing. I think it's definitely needed. And I'm wondering if you have any last words of wisdom for my audience.
Well, thank you for having me, for letting me talk to you. I would just say, keep loving your kids, keep chatting to your kids, keep letting them know that you're there 100% for them, and you're there for their highs, you're there for their lows. And it's all about just making our kids feel so accepted and valued. So when stuff does go wrong, when they're really struggling, then they will turn to you, and they will open up to you. But yeah, parenting's hard, and it's okay to have off days as well. There you go, a few different things.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that's all we have for you today. I thought that was a really, really cool discussion, and I learned a lot. So I hope you did too. I think we all could hear. I don't think any of us can hear it enough when somebody says it's okay to have a bad day as a mom, because I know for me, when I have a bad day, I beat myself up, but it's okay. And we should teach our kids that it's okay, because we are modeling what we want them to be, right? So we want our kids to have a hard day or have a bad day and not be like, oh, I suck for this. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. And I thank you so much for joining us today. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. I look forward to our next episode. So thank you guys. I'll see you soon, because together is a beautiful place to be.